You are tired because you are holding on too tight. That is the truth no one told you. It is not the weight of the world. It is the tension in your grip, the way you keep forcing things to go your way, the way you obsess over outcomes that never fully belong to you. You think control equals power, that if you could just push harder, plan better, predict more, maybe then life would finally cooperate. But it never does. And deep down you know it. Control is a beautiful illusion. It gives you a sense of safety, but it costs you your peace. You want the promotion, so you overwork and overthink. You want the relationship, so you rehearse every word, every move. You want everything to fall into place, and you chase perfection like it owes you something. And when life does not follow your script, frustration creeps in. You blame yourself. You blame others. You blame the universe. But here is the truth. The problem is not your effort. It is your attachment. You are not stuck because you are lazy. You are stuck because you are strangling possibility. You are not giving life a chance to breathe. You are forcing it to obey. And the more you do, the more it slips through your hands. The Stoics knew this long before us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste energy fighting reality. Accept what comes, flow with what is. That is not weakness, that is wisdom." It takes strength to let go. It takes clarity to realize what is and is not within your power. And it takes real courage to stop trying to control things that were never yours to hold. Let go or stay stuck. That is the choice. Let go of how it was supposed to happen. Let go of how others should have treated you. Let go of the timeline you built in your head. And what do you get in return? Freedom. Because the moment you stop trying to force life, life starts to meet you halfway. This is not about giving up. It is about showing up with a different energy. An energy that is rooted in presence, not pressure. In clarity, not chaos. If you want to move forward, you cannot keep dragging the weight of control behind you. You cannot keep clenching your fists and expecting peace to visit. You have to release. This is the first shift, the foundational one. The shift from control to trust, from gripping to grounding. Because life is not something you can command. It is something you collaborate with. And until you learn to loosen your grip, you will keep spinning your wheels, burnt out, tired, and wondering why nothing ever works. But the moment you release the illusion of control, something shifts. Doors you did not expect begin to open. Clarity begins to rise, and you remember something ancient and true. Real power does not come from controlling life. It comes from mastering yourself. You have been taught to fight, to chase, to conquer, but no one ever taught you how to accept. Acceptance sounds passive, weak, like something you do when you have run out of options. But that could not be further from the truth. Acceptance is not surrender. It is alignment. It is not the end of effort. It is the beginning of clarity. When you accept, you stop arguing with reality. You stop spending energy on things that will not change just because you want them to. You stop trying to swim against the current, and you learn to move with the tide. This is not easy. Your mind has been conditioned to react, to fix, to control. You see someone you love acting distant, and you panic. You get a rejection letter, and you spiral. A door closes, and you question everything. But what if you paused? What if instead of reacting you reflected? Epictetus once said, "Some things are up to us, and some are not." That is the foundation of all freedom. You cannot control other people's choices. You cannot control the weather, the economy, the timing of your success. But you can control your response, your attitude, your effort, your beliefs. And that, right there, is the beginning of peace. Because the moment you separate what is yours to carry from what is not, your world changes. Imagine standing in a storm. You cannot stop the rain, but you can choose to dance in it, or find shelter, or breathe deeply. and remind yourself, this will pass. That is acceptance. Not pretending the storm is not real, but refusing to drown in it. When you practice acceptance, you create space. Space for clarity, space for movement, space for unexpected grace. Think about how much time you have lost, resisting what already happened. How much energy you have burned trying to rewrite the past or force the future. Acceptance gives you that energy back. It anchors you in now. And from here, from this grounded state, you can make decisions not from fear but from wisdom. This is the second shift. From resistance to acceptance. From denial to awareness. Because until you accept reality, you cannot work with it. You will keep fighting battles that were never meant to be won. You will keep pouring water into a broken vase, hoping it will fill. Acceptance is not weakness. It is strength refined. It takes discipline to accept, to look at what is and say, I may not like this, but I will not let it define me. That kind of acceptance, that is the beginning of power. Because you stop being a victim of life. You start becoming a co-creator with it. You listen. You adapt. You trust. Not because life is easy, but because you have stopped making it harder than it needs to be. Acceptance is not giving up your dreams. It is letting go of the fear that they must happen in only one way, at only one time. It is opening yourself to possibility, to timing, to the wisdom that maybe, just maybe, life knows something you do not. And if you allow it, if you stop resisting and start aligning, you might just find that what is unfolding is better than what you planned. Let go of control. Accept what is. And in that space, you will discover a freedom you did not know you were missing. Not the freedom to get everything you want, but the freedom to no longer be enslaved by what you cannot change. And that, my friend, is the kind of freedom that makes you truly unstoppable. You can smell desperation. It clings to the air like a storm about to break. You feel it in a rushed conversation, in the way someone clings too tightly, in the way they over-explain, over-apologize, overdo. You have been there. All of us have. When you want something so badly, it becomes your identity. When every no feels like a personal failure. When rejection cuts deeper than it should, that is not hunger. That is fear wearing ambition like a mask. And it is the fastest way to stay stuck. Desperation is not a sign of desire. It is a sign of disconnection. Disconnection from your inner worth, from your clarity, from your peace. You see, when you are desperate, you are not chasing the goal. You are running from the fear that you are not enough without it. That job, that relationship, that number in your bank account. You convince yourself that your value depends on it. And so you chase. Hard, loud, exhausting. But the more frantic your energy, the more life pulls away. Not out of cruelty, but because desperation is repelling. It signals lack. It screams, I need this or I will break. Now imagine a different energy. One that walks into a room quietly. Steady. Focused. Someone who knows their worth before a single word is spoken. Someone who applies for the job not out of panic, but purpose. Who enters a relationship not to be saved, but to share. That person, they attract. Because they are not acting from fear. They are acting from intention. This is the third shift. From desperation to intention. From chaos to clarity. You do not need to beg the world to see your value. You need to believe it so deeply that the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. When you act from intention, you no longer scramble. You strategize. You no longer chase every door. You knock on the right ones. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it from fear of what I will lose, or faith in who I already am? Desperation comes from believing you lack something essential. Intention comes from knowing you already have what matters most. Your clarity, your purpose, your alignment. And when you live from that place, you stop forcing. You start flowing. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Life itself feels it. Because desperation tries to take. Intention offers value. One pushes. The other attracts. You are not here to beg life for scraps. You are here to bring something to the table. Remember that, and watch everything shift. You plant a seed. You water it. You give it sun. But no matter how much you care, you cannot make it grow faster by yelling at the soil. Life works the same way. You do your part. You prepare. You show up. You give your best. But at some point, you must step back and trust the process. This is not easy, especially in a world that tells you success must be immediate, that patience is weakness, that hustle is everything. But hustle without trust is just panic in disguise. Trusting the process means you understand timing. It means you no longer dig up your seeds just to check if they are growing. It means you know when to act and when to wait. You see, effort is essential, but force is dangerous. Force says, if I do not have it now, I am failing. Trust says, I am still becoming. And so is the path. Let me ask you something. Have you ever done everything right and still felt like nothing was working? That is the test. That space between effort and result. That silence between the action and the reward. It is in that space where most people quit. They think the quiet means failure, that the delay means denial, but it does not. It means growth is happening underground, where the eyes cannot see, where the ego gets uncomfortable, where real change takes root. This is the fourth shift, from control of timing to trust in the process. You can plan your steps, but you cannot plan the detours. Sometimes the thing that looks like a setback is actually a setup, a redirection, a course correction towards something you never imagined. The Stoics understood this. Seneca said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Patience is not passive. It is deeply active. It is faith under pressure. It is action without obsession. A tree does not rush, yet it becomes mighty. A river does not panic, yet it carves through stone. What if you stopped rushing your own becoming? What if instead of fighting the pace of life, you honored it? Trusting the process does not mean you give up. It means you keep going without panic, without needing proof every second. You keep showing up, keep planting, keep growing, even when no one claps, even when nothing seems to move. Because something is always moving, even if you cannot see it yet. When you learn to trust the process, you release the fear that you are behind. You begin to understand that every delay carries a lesson. Every quiet season carries wisdom. Every pause prepares you for something deeper. So take the next step and let life take care of the next chapter. Plant, nurture, trust. The harvest will come, not when you beg for it, not when you force it, but when you are ready. And that readiness is not something the world decides. It is something you build in the quiet. So wait with faith, walk with purpose, and remember, you do not need to rush what was always meant to be yours. There is a point when trying becomes too much, when effort crosses the line and becomes pressure, when motivation turns into tension, when your pursuit of something good starts breaking the peace inside you. That is the signal. You are no longer flowing. You are forcing. And life does not respond well to force. People do not either. You know that feeling. When someone tries too hard to impress, their smile is too big, their words too polished, their energy feels heavy, like they are chasing something that keeps slipping away. You feel it in relationships. You feel it in conversations. You feel it in yourself. When you need something to work so badly that you start pushing, texting too much, explaining too much, hoping too hard. That is not love. That is fear. That is not power. That is pressure. And pressure repels. There is a reason why the most magnetic people are the calm ones, the grounded ones, the ones who do not try to convince you of anything. They just are. That is the power of alignment, of presence, of flow. This is the fifth shift. From forcing to flowing. From trying to controlling outcomes to letting your energy lead. You are not meant to chase what is right for you. You are meant to become the kind of person who draws it in. You do not need to fake confidence. You need to build it from the inside. You do not need to impress people. You need to embody what you value. And the moment you stop performing, you start connecting. Think about a river. It does not demand the landscape to change. It does not argue with rocks in its way. It moves, steady, with purpose, carving through stone by showing up every day with the same quiet power. That is you. When you stop forcing, you still act, you still speak, but you no longer do it to convince. You do it because it aligns with who you are. And that shift changes everything. Because force creates resistance. Flow creates space. When you stop controlling every detail, you create room for things to unfold in ways you could not plan. Room for people to meet you halfway. Room for ideas to breathe. Room for you to actually enjoy the journey instead of gripping your way through it. This does not mean you let go of standards. It means you let go of the tension. You move from outcome obsession to process mastery. From fear-driven performance to presence-based connection. Let the tension go. What is meant for you will not need to be chased. It will meet you in the flow. And when it does, it will not feel like a fight. It will feel like peace. Your mind is the stage where every scene of your life begins. What you think, you become. What you dwell on, you amplify. What you believe, you live out. Most people spend their lives trying to control what is outside while ignoring the storm within. But the quality of your life will never rise above the quality of your thoughts. This is the sixth shift. From reacting to mastering. From letting your thoughts control you to shaping them with awareness. Because your mind, left untrained, will drag you into places you do not belong. It will replay past failures. It will invent worst-case scenarios. It will whisper doubts when you are about to rise. That voice will sound like your own. But it is not truth. It is noise. And you must learn to separate the two. Mastering your mindset does not mean you never have negative thoughts. It means you do not let them lead. It means you step back. You observe. You choose. As William James once said, the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. That choice is your freedom. Imagine facing a failure. Your mind says, I am not good enough. I will never make it. That voice feels final. It feels loud. But you can speak back. You can say, I am learning. I am growing. This is part of the process. And suddenly, the story changes. The challenge remains, but your relationship to it transforms. You move from victim to student, from helpless to capable. The Stoics called this the discipline of perception. Seeing things as they are, not worse than they are. Separating the event from the emotion. Choosing the response that serves you, not the one that shames you. It is a practice. Like a sword must be sharpened, your mind must be trained. Daily, gently, relentlessly. When doubt arises, you do not ignore it. You meet it. You question it. You redirect it. When fear surfaces, you do not run. You breathe. You ground yourself. You take the next step anyway. Your mind is not your enemy, but it is not yet your ally unless you make it one. Feed it with what you want to grow. Thoughts of strength, thoughts of patience, thoughts of truth. Because what you plant is what grows. Let that sink in. Every thought you repeat becomes a belief. Every belief you hold shapes your actions. Every action you take builds your life. This is not about toxic positivity. This is about responsible clarity. You are not pretending everything is fine. You are choosing the lens that makes you stronger. You are not denying pain. You are directing power. So when the day feels heavy, ask yourself, what am I choosing to believe right now? When your emotions feel overwhelming, pause. Name them. Let them rise and fall like waves. And then return to your center. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are the sculptor, not the stone. And every day is another chance to shape your mind into something stronger, clearer, freer. So, train it, respect it, guard it. Because when you master your mind, you no longer need to control the world. You become unshakable within it. Most people live in a prison they cannot see. A prison made of scarcity. They walk into a room and see competition, not opportunity. They measure their worth against others. They fear that every door that opens for someone else means one less door for them. They believe there is not enough time, not enough love, not enough success, not enough of anything. That mindset shapes everything. It turns confidence into comparison. It turns curiosity into envy. It turns possibility into panic. But here is the truth. Scarcity is not a condition of the world. It is a condition of your mind. You cannot live a life of peace when your thoughts are trapped in lack. This is the seventh shift. From scarcity to abundance. From fear to fullness. It starts with one question. What do you believe about life? Do you believe there is more than enough? That good things are still possible? That what is meant for you cannot be taken by someone else? Or do you believe life is a constant race for survival? That if you do not take first, you have lost? Because what you believe, you see. And what you see, you experience. Imagine two people in the same situation. One sees limitation, the other sees room to grow. One says, I will never catch up. The other says, I am exactly where I need to be. Who do you think will thrive? You already know the answer. Living in abundance does not mean ignoring problems. It means choosing your lens. It means acting from trust, not fear. You do not need to compete with anyone. You only need to become more of who you already are. Your gifts are yours. Your timing is yours. Your journey is yours. When you believe that, you stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop chasing people, outcomes, approval. You start creating. You start building. You start rising. Abundance says, I have enough to take the next step. Scarcity says, I need more before I begin. Abundance says, there is room for all of us. Scarcity says, if you win, I lose. And the more you live in scarcity, the more you prove it true. But when you shift to abundance, you attract it. You see connections where others see competition. You find joy in others' success. You celebrate what you have while working for what you want. That is not naive. That is powerful. Because abundance makes you magnetic. It allows you to walk into a room without needing to be the loudest, the smartest, or the most successful. You just need to be full, aligned, grateful. Scarcity says, I will be happy when. Abundance says, I am already whole. And from that wholeness, everything you need begins to find you. The final shift is not about doing more. It is about becoming more of what you already are. Most people think success is something they must chase, that they must grind their way through life, that only constant effort will bring the breakthrough. But the truth is simpler and deeper. You do not need to chase what is meant for you. You need to align with it. This is the eighth shift. From chasing to attracting. From striving to becoming. You attract what matches your energy, your habits, your self-respect, your beliefs. If you are full of doubt, you attract situations that confirm it. If you lead with peace, you attract people who carry it too. Alignment is not passive. It is deliberate. It is choosing to live in harmony with your values, not in reaction to your fears. It is asking, does this choice reflect who I want to become? Does this action bring me closer to what matters? When you live in alignment, you stop wasting energy. You stop fighting against yourself. You do not need to impress everyone. You only need to respect yourself. You do not need to be everywhere. You only need to be where you belong. That is the secret. That is the final key. Because a life of clarity will always outperform a life of chaos. You think the successful person is doing more, but look closer. They are doing less, but they are doing it with full intention. They are not scattered. They are focused. They are not desperate. They are centered. They are not chasing. They are inviting. And you can feel it. Their presence is strong, not because they are loud, but because they are aligned. So, ask yourself, are you chasing approval or living in purpose? Are you moving because you are afraid to stop, or because every step is rooted in something true? Chasing will exhaust you. Alignment will elevate you. One is about proving. The other is about embodying. One says, look at me. The other says, I know who I am. Alignment means you say yes to less, but with greater power. You walk away from what is not meant for you, not with anger, but with peace. Because you trust that your path is not fragile. It is not dependent on who claps, who stays, or who understands. It is yours, and that is enough. So pause, recenter, ask again, who are you becoming? And are your thoughts, your habits, your relationships, your decisions moving you toward that version? If they are, keep going. If they are not, make the shift. Because the more aligned you are, the less you need to chase. And the more you live from that alignment, the more life begins to move in your direction. Not because you forced it, but because you finally became a match for what you were asking for. You wanted change. Not just a new result, but a new way of being, a new way of moving through life, without the constant weight, without the pressure, without the noise. Now you know where it begins. Not out there, not in what you chase, but in what you choose to let go of. Let go of the illusion of control. Let go of the fear of timing. Let go of the belief that you are not enough without what you are chasing. Let go of the grip that keeps you stuck. Because the more you hold on, the more you lose your peace. The more you force, the more you resist the flow. And the more you chase, the further away life seems to drift. But the moment you release, something shifts. You begin to trust, to breathe, to return to yourself. That is where freedom begins. Not in controlling outcomes, but in controlling your mindset. Not in chasing validation, but in aligning with your values. You do not need to prove anything to the world. You only need to live in a way that proves you believe in yourself. Because once you do, everything changes. Stress turns into stillness. Desperation turns into direction. Scarcity turns into enough. Chasing turns into calm movement forward. You become the kind of person who no longer needs to force life to notice you, because life already does. It sees your presence. It feels your clarity. It respects your peace. So take this with you. Let it echo through your decisions. Let it guide you through the doubt. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply one decision away from flow, one breath away from alignment, one mindset shift away from freedom. And now, you have the map. So the choice is yours. Let go, or stay stuck. But know this, the version of you that is calm, clear, grounded, and strong, that version is not somewhere far off in the future. That version is already within you. Waiting. Not for perfection, but for permission.